All right, let's quickly move on to yet another issue of national importance. A lot of people are agitated about this one, and it's about the social media law or bill, which is in the making. There is a plan to overhaul internet laws, which they say will help curtail fake news. But critics cry foul over threats to free speech. Senator Musa is a sponsor of that bill on the floor of the National Assembly, which has passed second reading, and we go through public hearing tomorrow. There's been a lot of agitation over this. Should it pass? Should it not? Some people say, kill it. Let's get talking about this. I have joining me from our Abuja studio, Mr. Jude Dilo is a country director of Osiwa in Nigeria, and Mr. Aliyu Musa is a cybersecurity expert. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on tonight. Mr. Ilo, I know you're one of those who have spoken strongly about this bill. You believe that this bill must die. It's going to go through public hearing tomorrow. What are your fears?
Thank you, Shane, for the opportunity. One of the reasons why, we're very particular about this bill not being passed into law is because we believe that this bill creates more problem than it tries to solve. And there are three critical areas that should worry everybody. The first area is the fact that a lot of the provisions of this bill are vague in the sense that it's not clear to understand, explicitly what the law is or the bill is trying to do. One example even is the title of the bill, which is about prohibition of false speech. Falsehood is relative, and given the kind of environment where we live, this lends itself to a lot of abuse. Phrases and statements like false speech that affects the relationship of Nigeria with other countries or the functioning of government or creates ill will are terms that are not very clearly defined under this act, and it creates a lot of problem because it makes it difficult.
But Mr. Ilo, apologies to butt in. In this era of fake news, are you worried that we do not need a system that will guide against such a phenomenon that has become a threat to millions of people?
Of course, we're all worried about fake news, but the point is that we already have existing laws in the country that can address this problem. Shen, we must never run into the danger of trying to solve one problem by creating another layer of problem. We are trying to pass a legislation that makes it easy for police officers to determine that perhaps your website may have published information that is false by their own definition. And when that happens, Shane, they are then empowered by law to shut down your website without any reference to you, without even giving you the opportunity to explain your own side of the story. And when they do this, you can't even go to court to get them to reverse their decision. You still have to go to them. And it's only when this authority decides that they are not going to maybe reinstate your website, then you can go to court. Meaning simply that somebody who doesn't like your face can hide under this law, shut down your website for years without necessarily allowing you the opportunity to go to court to question it. We can't allow, because we are worried about fake news, because we've not been able to utilize the existing laws in the country, decide to create a legislation that is draconian in its conception, that creates the problem of unchecked discretion, and that even assaults the power of our judiciary.
All right, Mr. Ilo, that's a fine place to. That's a fine place for us to take our next break on the program. I have perhaps someone who do not totally believe with me what Mr. Ilo is saying on this social media bill, which is Mr. Aliyu Mustafa there in our Abuja studio. But we've been speaking with some social media experts and influencers, and they have shared some views with us. You get to hear them on the program tonight. But we'll take a break. When we come back, is the social media bill a threat? We find out the reason for the fear of social media bill as it goes into public hearing tomorrow. Don't go away. We'll be right back, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get back to the conversation. Mr. Jude Dilo is the country director of Osiwa in our Abuja studio, and also Mr. Aliyu Mustafa is a cybersecurity expert. Let's get back to it. Yeah, you heard, Mr. Mustafa, what some of these influencers and some of these actors are saying about the bill. They're afraid that the intent of this bill is against free speech.
Thank you for having me, Shaun. The truth of the matter is that I acknowledge the submission of my colleague here, and what I want to say is simple. We cannot throw the bathwater and the baby all together. We are here in Channels TV and all other forms of media, both electronic, print media, are regulated, which means somebody cannot just publish anything he or she so desires without some form of censorship, some form of edition to it. And as a matter of fact, the social media has given people the right to do so. Everybody is now a journalist without training. Everybody can break news from the comfort of their rooms and what have you. Characters have been defamed, reputations have been damaged. Sometimes when you go through the social media and the commentaries and the way people address each other, you will wonder what they will do if they will meet each other one-on-one. So this bill is saying, this bill is just a bill and yet to become a law. And so I think what we should do is look at those things that this bill wants to do, what are the objectives, and then try to see how we can streamline them in line with the application of the law. Defamation of character.
Mr. Mustafa, one of the questions, Mr. Mustafa, apologies to button, is one of the question is whether or not we need it, whether or not it isn't a duplication of what we already have. Is it necessary, the framing of that bill? Is it necessary considering that what is already on the ground?
Yeah, well, the provisions of the law are clear, and as regard to social media, like I said, so far so good. Most of the things when you go to court, they give you a reason that some of those have no precedent under the law, and there has not been any ruling regarding that. So far so good. We've seen, like I said, characters and reputations and businesses have been damaged by fake news, and therefore, most of this news go viral through the social media. I know that the conventional mainstream media does have some kind of mistakes sometimes, or whether intentional or for political reasons or what have you. But nevertheless, in social media, that regulation is required because no form of media should be allowed to go unregulated. Everyone in his or her family or business have some form of regulations. Even the people in the motor park, they have some form of regulation. So why not?
Let me allow Mr. Ilo to respond to some of the things that you quickly, Mr. Ilo. I will allow our viewers to listen to two or more of the social media influencers that were spoken to, who recorded these videos and share their views on this. But Mr. Ilo, quickly respond to what Mr. Mustafa just said about the need for regulation.
Okay, so I think the first misconception is that there are no existing regulations. That is wrong. We have laws on defamation, we have laws on libel, we have the Cybercrime Act that was passed in 2015. So these legislations already have provisions regarding what you can or cannot do on social media, what you can or cannot do regarding other people's integrity, their name, their reputation, and all of that. So there are existing legislations. The second point shown is that we are saying even if you have to make additional regulations around these issues, it has to be within the provisions of the Constitution. A number of provisions under this bill go strictly against the Constitution. I can give you one example. When you talk about right to fair hearing, the provisions are very clear that when you want to take a regulation, an administrative decision regarding any individual under our Constitution, that individual will need to have the opportunity to make a representation to you before you come to your decision. But if you look at Section 24 sub 2 and 12 sub 2 of this social media bill, the police can take a unilateral decision to perhaps ask the NCC to shut down your website
All right.
without any reference to you.
Mr. Ayilo, let's
Meaning
hear some of
that
the
somebody that-
yeah. Just a moment. Let's hear some of the concerns of some of these social media influencers. I'll allow Mr. Mustafa to give his closing thought on that. Let's listen to Japhet Omojuwa and Wole Arole.
People have been
when you say
and jailed for the things they posted on social media, whether things around blackmail, fraud, hate speech, libel, name it. In Nigeria, people have been jailed for all of that. So whoever tells you that this social media bill is about doing all of those things, that's a lie. This is about gagging free speech. This is about getting in the way of people's right to address issues as they are governed. And everybody must kick against it. This is not in the interest of the Nigerian people. And we have to be careful as a country because now there's a perception that the civic space is shrinking by the day. And this social media bill, this bill against people's rights to speak and address their leaders as active citizens, gives weight to that argument that Nigeria's civic space is shrinking.
I'm lending my voice out based on the social media bill that is about to be passed in Nigeria. I feel the media is a place where we give expression of our thought, where we talk about national issues using a different style of way, satire and all of that. So on my own personal opinion, I feel that the restriction that is about to come on the media is going to affect a lot of us, a lot of people on the media, to practically express ourselves. You get, because I feel the media has its own way of regulating people. There are ways it does it. So the government passing a bill on it, personally I'm lending my voice that I feel that it's uncalled for, that we should use that medium to express ourselves. Check out the police brutality, so many things that have gone down in Nigeria that the media has actually helped us to look deep into it.
All right, then you heard them there. Mr. Mustafa, in 30 seconds, your closing thoughts on what you heard.
Yeah, actually, from what he's saying, what needs to be done is to scrutinize the objectives of this law, and within the confines of the law, try to streamline what we feel might look like a kind of an abuse of power or what the police will do. We're not really sure if the police are going to be the ones who are going to be enforcing these laws, or whatever agency or whatever that comes with the laws, application of that law will apply. And so far so good. Yes, there is defamation of character, there is sedition and libel, but nobody has been prosecuted as far as we're concerned. When we were faced with the issue of terrorism, we were forced to have a legislation. And Nigeria is not the only
Mr. Mustafa, we're out of time. We need to leave it at that. And hopefully, we'll look forward to the public hearing tomorrow. Mr. Judulo, thank you so much for coming. Mr. Aliyu Mustafa, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us tonight. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. And thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye-bye.